Alright, so here's the layer that has this piece. Just going to put a new layer above it to set this in here. And with that selection, just hold the Command key to make this rectangular selection. And on the new layers where the water droplets are going to take place. So just reset the foreground to background, black to white. And then filter, you have the render of clouds. And that's just to give some texture, something to work with on the screen. The next one is this stylized under the filter. So when you take a look under this part, find edges, and that just creeps along the edges to find the midtone that's inside there. And then image adjusts for the levels. So it's a lot of filters that kind of go through this section, moving the black slider all the way up on the histogram just to get this texture. So that's for that part. And then they're having you use a plaster under the filter. So under the filter gallery, I already have it highlighted, so here it is under plaster, and they give some parameters of 40 for this part, the smoothness at 14. And you can experiment with this just to see what looks best. Might want to keep a little bit more of those open. And top left for the light source. So I'll click OK. And now you see this part. Now you're trying to take this part out of there. So when you take a look at the next section, you'll see a close-up of this version. And they have you do a sharp mask, so filter, under sharpen, and the unsharp mask is right here. And they have it go to the amount 500, and it just clears this up. If you scooch this down a little bit, you see it softens up slightly to a blur. This just makes the black background a little clearer, because it's going to be taken out. And you're using the magic wand to do so, so the tolerance is just set to 10, doesn't have to be that high. Just has to be accurate. And it clicks right on this selection here. So it's contiguous, meaning it's going to wrap everything around it. I'm just going to hit delete and deselect for temporary. So there's your water, and they mentioned that it looking like a little bit like mercury on that section. So that's what this piece is. So I'm just going to take this and make it a little bit larger with the option key to get some water droplets on there a little bigger. You can keep it as it is. So I'm just going to hit return. To get rid of the unwanted pieces, I'm just going to select this with the Command key to make that rectangular selection on there. And that'll give me that piece right there. Here's the image. If I hit delete, it'll take the part I want. So I'm going to select and inverse it, and then hit delete, and then it'll take about everything else. So now the water droplets are a little bit larger, and it does look like mercury. You could simply just double click on it, give it a drop shadow to here, and manipulate that shadow, the distance I put real close, and tighten up on the side so it has a little bit of a drop shadow on there. If you're going to do mercury. In this case, they're continuing with the water, and that's what that part is. So if you want to make it look like water, just take a couple steps further. And here they're just taking this selection to soft light. So this filter that's on this edge here is going to be this part. Here's the style up under here, so when you take a look under normal, here's soft light. All these different files that you can take a look at. Soft light brings the water into that section. So it has that look to it. And then the last thing they do is they try to distort the words that are underneath that part. So let's kind of take a look at it. The drop's still selected. Click on the background layer, so it's just affecting those pieces. And it's going to try to distort within that water segment. So it's kind of tricky. But here's the selection. here's the water layer. I'll hide the edges. So this part is selected. So if you hit delete, you can see it's taken all that stuff out. So I'm just doing that to show it to you. And then under here, it's having you modify it a little bit. Here it is under filter, and you have distort and spherize. This gives you a window, takes a look up close up at the lettering. Here's the shape it is under horizontal or vertical. And just by clicking a little bit, it'll distort it. And you can see it distorts it a lot. So I'm going to take it down just a little bit less. So I'll just drop this down a little bit less. Where's the inside percentage? And there it just takes it over a little bit. So there it has the water on top of that. And there it has that section. There's a screenshot of it.